Hello and welcome to the tutorial video for Dig Down Dwarf. This is the newest edition of Dig Down Dwarf. It comes in this nice small tin. It's the second game in our little series, the tin series. This is volume 2. The first one was a solo play game called Gate. This is very similar to all the Dig Down Dwarfs that you may be aware of playing in the past. There's a few little twists. So we're going to start with setup and sort of work through a couple of rounds of the game just so you can see how things have changed and how things are very much the same as they used to be. First, I'd like to point out this beautiful mat. Really nice illustration on there. It's a neoprene mat, so it's perfect for rolling dice on. So I thought it's a great addition for Dig Down Dwarf since you will be rolling some dice. So let's take a look at what's inside the box really quick. I should say tin. It's got a nice hinged tin. All your components will be inside. All this stuff will come in a baggie, but I'd usually just take the baggie and get rid of it or use it for something else. You will get inside of your tin 4 cards that will be your instructions for the game. So there's not a whole lot of instructions in the game. They're double-sided. Read through that really quickly. There's some variants of play, different play variants on the back here. You can mix things up a little bit after you get a few games under your belt. You also will have 4 dwarf cards to choose from. Each one is quite unique from each other. They each have a specific gem they are trying to obtain, and they also have a special ability. So just for example, this character Lenka will gain 5 bonus points if you end the game with the most of that particular gem. So you're looking for these purplish pink gems. Also, if you play this character, when drawing a relic card, take 2 and pick one to keep. So she gets the ability to get better cards from this relic deck, which we'll discuss later in a little bit here. So each player will choose one of these, and if you can't decide, you can just randomly have each player choose a character. So we'll just play a 2-player game here. So we're just going to shuffle these up and just say that one person's going to be Grubrot and the other person's going to be Zelda. The other 2 go back in here. If you're in a 2-player game, what's nice is you could just keep the other 2 player cards and flip them over because they have your reference. So we'll do that. But if you're playing 3 or 4 players, just so you know, the reference for all the different types of gems in the games are located right here. How many victory points each one of them is worth is right underneath them. Tells you their name. Next to that is a small number. It tells you how many of that particular gem you'll find in the game or in the mine. It'll tell you right here what you need to roll in order to get those gems. And finally, beneath that, it'll show you what you can do if you spend those gems. So essentially what Dig Down Dwarf is a game where there's going to be specific gems available. You're going to be on your turn rolling dice to trying to acquire them. And later on, you can spend those gems to alter your rolls to get better gems potentially, or you hold on to them for scoring at the end of the game. So let's just set this up like this. Hopefully that's still in camera view, or at least enough. So let's really quickly look. Who was I? Grubrot? Okay, so Grubrot is looking for the rubies. If I get the most of them, I get 5 bonus points. Cursite, which we'll discuss a little bit later, is never worth negative points for this character. So it's a nice little special ability. Zelda's special ability is may re-roll 1 blocked die per turn, and we will also discuss that in a few minutes. Lastly, we have these relic cards, or I'm sorry, yes, they are the relic deck, so they're the relic cards. What they do is offer the player sort of a catch-up mechanic. So on your turn, if you are unable to acquire a gem that's out on the board because you had some bad rolls, because that happens, it's a game with dice and there's luck involved in that. So if you have a bad turn, instead of just having a bad turn and falling behind in the game, you get to draw one of these cards. And what they allow you to do is they give you a scoring opportunity on the top portion. So for instance, this one here, if you happen to get to the 2 diamonds that are in the game, they're usually worth 5 points apiece. But if you have this card, you can place them on there. You're essentially crafting some sort of a relic with it. That's what that is simulating. And when you do that, you get 15, so you can get an extra 5 points. Now there's other cards for the sapphires, for instance, are only worth 2 points in the game. So if you put them here, they're locked in. You can't spend them once you put them there, but you will gain an extra 2 points. Alternatively, you can hold on to these, and if you haven't placed gems and locked this card in, so if this card was still open and I hadn't put my 2 diamonds on there, you can spend this card to alter a future roll. So by having a bad turn, you're essentially giving yourself one of these cards that will allow you a bonus scoring opportunity down the road, and or you can just discard the card completely and get a really powerful one-time use power. So in this case here, this symbol means I can set any 1 die to any side that I like. This one here allows me to re-roll as many dice as I want. And there's another one that just allows you to re-roll a single die somewhere. Don't make me a liar. There it is. So that allows you to re-roll a single die. So if you have these relic cards, what we'll do with these, I know we're trying to do setup here. I'm going over a lot of rules, but that's fine. There's not a lot to this game. So you have your character cards, you have your reference cards, you shuffle this up. You put 1 card down, and then you face 1 card up. So on your turn, when you go to draw a relic card, you can take the card that's visible, and or you can take an unknown card from this deck, right? Lastly, I'll put these dice here. I shouldn't say lastly. We have this cool little start player token. I thought little gold meeple was kind of cool, being that you're mining. So we'll make Zelda the start player. Basically, the game will end in the standard version once the final gems are pulled from the mine and are put onto the board, and that'll trigger the final round, and it will be equal number of turns. So she goes, Zelda will be going first, so that'll mean Grubrot will get the last turn in the game. So we'll give her the dice. All these gems will be just thrown into here. And then you shake that up, whatever, leave that there. Now players are supposed to be drawing from this blindly, so this game is going to require people to not cheat. So the first thing we'll do is have the start player will draw 4 gems to seed the board. That's how the game begins. So they will blindly stick their hands in here and they'll pull out 4 gems. Okay, so we got a diamond. And what's cool about this mat is it gives you kind of little fun little spots to stick each type. So we'll put the diamond there, the ruby there, and the amethyst here. So these are the available gems right now in the mine. Now, on top of that, the first player also draws 2, because that's the first thing you always do on your turn is you draw 2 more gems and add them to the board. So she'll draw 2 more. And now we have another ruby, and we have a sapphire. So Zelda will go first since she's the first player, and the available gems out here are the diamond, the ruby, the sapphire, and the amethyst. And each one has something that you need to roll in order to get them. She likes to get these sapphires if she gets the most of them in the game, which her card indicates that there's 8 of them. So she's going to want to get at least 4 or 5 of them to sort of lock in that victory condition, so she gets extra 5 points. So that looks attractive to her, and it's worth only 2 victory points by itself, though. So let's see. Usually the best thing to do is roll your dice and see what you get. It's very Yahtzee style. You'll see how that works. So she rolls her dice, and she gets this. Now, you can always re-roll a 6. So 6s are always re-rolled if you want. It's an option. So right now, if she wanted to, she could just re-roll the 6. We'll hold on a second and see what other options she has. Alternatively, if you were to roll a 1, it becomes locked. Now, that's why there's the one character that allows you to re-roll a locked dice. So 1s are bad, 6s are good. So let's see what she can do here. She has a 4, 5, 6. If she were to re-roll this, she gets 2 re-rolls and gets a 3. I believe you need a straight in order to get this. So she's on her way close to getting that. She could also try to go after 3 of a kind to get this. In order to get the rubies, you need to get all evens, which she's really close to getting all evens. She might want to go for that because that's a lot of victory points right there. And to get the diamonds, you need 4 of a kind. So she's nowhere near getting 4 of a kind. So the diamond's probably not the best thing to go for. Right now, she can either go for this straight or she can go for this all evens. And I think, even though the rubies aren't necessarily what she's going after, it's what her opponent wants. So that might not be a bad move to do because Grubbot likes those rubies. So she's going to be an aggressive player here, and she's going to lock those, and she's going to re-roll this. and she did it. And there is no cursite. We'll get to cursite. But all of the gems, all of the dice here are even, meaning that she will be able to take these rubies, and you get all of the rubies or all of the gems of the type that are out on the table. So as more gems start piling up, a big pile of amethyst might be more attractive than a single diamond. So, but these 2 rubies are each worth 3, so she right away is going to get herself 6 points, and she's also hurting her opponent because they want those rubies. Now we'll go to Grubrot's turn. Grubrot is going to blindly draw 2, and another sapphire comes out on the board, and a cursite. What is cursite? Well, it's a long-known secret that cursite is in fact petrified dragon poop. That's correct, it's dragon dung, and it's worth negative points at the end of the game, so you're attempting to not get those. And how do you get it? You have to end your turn with a single pair. So if you end with a single pair on all of your, when you're done with your rolls, you have to take the cursite. Now the only time that doesn't take effect is in the example of what we just saw. So let's just pretend these rubies were still out here and this was her final roll. She did end up with a single pair, which would in most cases mean she would have to take this cursite. But since this also fits the requirement for another available gem, because it's all evens and she can get the rubies, she would take the rubies and she would ignore the cursite. But now, let's say this was her roll, there are no cursite, there are no rubies out here, so there's no other gem that she can take with this roll other than the cursite, so then she would have to take the cursite. Hope that makes sense. So now it's Grubrot's turn. He wants those rubies that he can no longer get. So he's going to roll and see what is the best option at this time. Okay, we got a single pair, so that looks like cursite. Now remember, cursite does not hurt Grubrot. And the interesting thing about cursite, it's worth negative 1 point each. However, if you get enough of them, they can be worth 2 points each. So Grubrot might want to go after cursite just to start piling it up, but she might want to wait a little bit. So let's see what she got here. Single pair is good. She can re-roll this to go after that amethyst, or maybe go after that diamond. Wouldn't that be exciting? So she can re-roll this as a free re-roll. Doesn't count. So she's going to try to get a 3 right here, and she did. She got a 3 on that free re-roll. So she still has 2 rolls, and let's see if she can, right now, if she ends her turn, she would get this amethyst automatically, because the amethyst just needs 3 of a kind. She has it, but she gets 2 free re-rolls per her turn, so she might go after this diamond. Might as well see if she can get rolled another 3 and get the diamond. Up a 4 and a 6. Now she rolled a 6 on her final re-roll, but since it's a 6, you can always re-roll. So this is where the game can get really exciting and get those laugh out loud type moments. So she's going to re-roll, and she got the 3. So there we go. Perfect example. She got the diamond. That's worth 5 victory points at the end of the game. And this card sitting out here, that becomes kind of attractive to her as well. So this is the basic idea of how Dig Down Dwarf works. I'm hopefully going to be doing a playthrough video with my daughter next weekend and have that put up as well before the crowd sale begins. But this just gives you a basic idea of how the game goes. So you'll be taking turns, going back and forth, adding more gems to the mine on each turn until the gems run out, triggering the end of the game. You'll be rolling dice on your turn, taking gems, and there's going to become moments later in the game where you'll have a couple of gems here. Let's just say this is what the board looks like this, and you're going after something you really want. You can start spending gems for their powers, like these amethysts allow you to re-roll a single dice, so I could spend that, and when I spend it, it goes into a discard. It doesn't go back into the mine, and it will allow me to re-roll dice and maybe get what I need in order to gain a better gem out there. So it's a pressure luck game to begin with, just because you're rolling dice going after things. And it becomes even another layer of pressure luck, because now you can spend victory points essentially to alter your dice. So that's basically how Dig Down Dwarf works in a nutshell. It's very similar to the older versions, except a few things have been removed and a couple things have been added. This Relic deck really adds a lot of catch up to the game and dice mitigation. That's over. I mean, you already have dice mitigation because you can spend gems, but there's a good catch up mechanic here, so you don't have runaway leaders like you used to have in earlier editions. So that is how Dig Down Dwarf plays. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I will answer them. Thank you.